All right, hey everybody, I'm Steve Nissom, and I'm honored to be moderating this panel here today. We were all fortunate enough to see this fantastic movie, and we've got a terrific crew here. You've obviously recognized a lot of their faces that we just saw in the movie. First of all, let's give them all a big hand for being here today. We're going to go down the line. Everybody, introduce yourselves and just talk briefly about your role in the Blue Angels.
Absolutely. Hi, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for coming and seeing the film. I'm Lieutenant Commander Scott Goosens, call sign's Jamami. In the film, I was Blue Angel number 3, the left wing, in the 2022 season, and then I moved over to Blue Angel number 4 for the 2023 season.
Howdy, everybody. I'm Major Frank Zastapil. I was the training officer number 4 in that movie in there. I got to work with him every single day and then sit across the table from Chewie here. My call sign's Chomps, and thank everybody for coming out here today.
How's it going? Lieutenant Commander Kerry Rickoff, call sign Chewie. In the movie, you guys saw me as Blue Angel number 5, the operations officer and lead solo, finishing up my 4th year on the team there.
Hi, I'm Major Jackson Strife, call sign 511, and I was a C-130 demonstration pilot from 2021 through 2023.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I'm Commander John Fay. I was the executive officer for the 2022-2023 team, and really just got to work around some incredible teammates and make sure that we were pursuing the goals that we wanted to go after. Glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm Commander Kevin Lacasse. I was number 8 on the 97-98 team, call sign Lax, and I was on the team when they produced the first IMAX movie.
Afternoon, everyone. Clark Merritt. I was the maintenance officer, or MO, that'd be my call sign, 96-97 team, and it's great to be here. Thanks.
I am Wayne Molnar. I have no idea why I'm here. They needed some old gray-haired guy from 1986. I was on the last 84 team as the narrator, and then I was a solo pilot in the first 2 Hornet teams. It made me feel real old when Boss Kesselring says I was in Fargo, North Dakota in 1986 as a 4-year-old, or however old he was, watching the air show. So it dates my time.
All right, thank you, guys. First off, for the guys that were in the film, obviously you knew you were being filmed, you went through the whole process, but now that you've seen the film, what's kind of your takeaway about how it came off, how you were portrayed, how the movie came together and showed what you guys do?
Sure, I'll start off. I think we enjoyed the movie very much. As you guys see, it's got some pretty unique aerial footage that hasn't been taken before. And I think one of the things we were very concerned about on the team and took a great deal of effort to do was not make it a Hollywood film, right? We acted like we would normally act, and we invited them into our world to see how we interacted and how we operated, but we did not change who we were or what we were. So I think they captured that very well, and I think they did a good job there.
I think another challenging part about getting filmed over the entire course of a year with everybody was that you have a microphone literally strapped inside your flight suit, and those flight suits are already super tight, and so that got pretty uncomfortable. And then the additional cameras, they were everywhere. So we're used to getting filmed, we're used to having people out there taking pictures everywhere, but to have an IMAX camera literally this close to your face, and you're doing an interview, and there's 3 other dudes sitting around the corner waiting to talk to you or ask questions or whispering and all these different things. It was something that at least we as pilots, we just fly an airplane. We're not used to getting in front of an IMAX camera. So that was definitely something non-standard. And then what did that do? I think it actually created our team to be a little bit tighter over the course of that year. Something so different than any other team really had before. In the insertion of a documentary, 20 people extra in the team. They were following us around all these show sites. So it kind of made us as a team a lot tighter.
Yeah, it was really interesting as a first-year pilot on the Blue Angels when we were making the documentary. Everybody talks about the cameras and how everything was different, and for us, everything was new, everything was different. So the fact that there were IMAX cameras around and film crews everywhere, it might as well have been normal for us just because we didn't know any better. So I guess that was probably a good thing being a new pilot. It really wasn't until the following year that I realized how much was going on in that first year that we were on the team. But I think having seen the film now, I think they did an excellent job of really giving the public an inside look of the Blue Angels. And something that, hopefully this film does is not everyone is fortunate enough to live in Pensacola and have access to see the Blue Angels, almost every single week. And we try to do as many air shows as we can around the country, but not everyone's able to see us. But hopefully a film like this kind of extends the reach of the Blue Angels and allows people who maybe aren't fortunate enough to be able to see a show to be able to see something like this in a local theater or on Amazon Prime streaming, and hopefully it inspires that next generation. Like I know so many of us up here were inspired by the Blue Angels in the past.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. For the guys now that we're not in the film, but obviously we're with Blue Angels, how much did this kind of bring it home to you? Like recreate, relive your experiences, and how true did it kind of ring for you watching it up there on the screen?
It was unique in that it was almost 30 years ago being on the team we were really exposed to Boss Voris, Al Tadeo, the original team members. And then to go and see these guys, the young guys, as we're looking at, I don't feel so old, but now, and I look at these guys, to be able to link the two, that you guys really have carried on that tradition, that when you hear Al Tadeo describe that, or Butch Voris, those early days, and then you guys kept the tradition going, it's inspirational.
What struck me about it is how much things have really not changed since Lax and I were on the team. I mean, it's just the sense of purpose, and then the execution day after day after day after week after week. The early mornings in El Centro, and then the glory air shows of like San Francisco and Miramar. All that was captured very nicely in the film, and it does bring you back. It does.
As I was going to the restroom like everybody else afterwards, Terry Hines was there. He was the front man when I was on the team, and he says, "Do you miss it?" I said, "For 35 years, I haven't missed it, but I do now." And people have said to me, "It's like, would you still be flying the airplanes if you could?" Oh, hell yeah. It's something you'll always cherish and miss. I know these guys very little, but I've met them all over the years. But I feel like we're all cut from the same cloth, that we came from different eras and generations, but we still cherished our time on the team.
I know one thing that struck me was the candor. I mean, we all look at these guys as kind of superheroes, but you guys were really honest about being nervous, about feeling not worthy, those kind of things. How important was that part of it, to be that honest about the doubts, about the mistakes?
I'll take a stab. Yeah, I don't mind. I think to that point, one of the things that the film means to me is really, to all y'all's point, not everyone does live here in Pensacola, and we love calling Pensacola home. It's a special place that we do get to call home and be here, and the public knows a lot here. But what they don't know, sometimes you have to, the starting point with the Blue Angels is prima donna, right? I mean, that's what people immediately think, and we had Boss Cussering used to always say you'd have to talk them back from that, walk them back from that. And I think the film does a great job of showing the outstanding character and integrity and work ethic of the people that make up the team, both the pilots, the hardworking maintenance and support staff. And I just think it's a tribute to what the amazing film crew put together that will now kind of broadcast that to the masses.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things we always talk about is, you show up day one and you don't know anything. You're a Navy pilot who's been in the Navy 10 plus years, and you can fly a plane pretty good, but you show up to the range like, I have no idea how you're doing that, and you realize you have to learn it. We all go through kind of the imposter syndrome, so we wanted to make sure people realized it's okay to kind of feel that way as long as you outwork it. So you can outwork that and show up to something good. But kind of one of the things that Fizza was saying that struck me was, people often always see these things and ask us, like, "Oh man, you guys are famous now." And the best part about the Blue Angels is, like, not one of us on this panel are famous. It's the crest that everyone recognizes and knows, in the blue suit. So once we take that off, we're just back to being a normal Navy pilot, a normal person. But the team and that legacy get to live on, which we like.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Obviously, it's special already, so the experience that's going to live with you forever. But being the guys that were when the film was made, the fact that there was a film made of your crew, how much special, how much more do you feel like that's going to enhance your experience as you have this to look back on?
Yeah, I don't Personally, I think it's kind of cool that the movie was made about the 75th anniversary team, 2022, all these different aspects about it. But it's like Chewy just said, it's not about us. Like the whole point of the team is about that blue suit and inspiring the next generations for service to country and culture of excellence. Like it's not about the team. And if that little bit gets across in that movie, that little bit, or the next kid that we saw at that show line who might be in this movie, not just us, but like those people at the show line, the people at Pensacola Beach, everybody out there might be in this movie as well. And to see them and maybe they come back and then maybe they're the next Navy pilot or Marine Corps pilot. Hopefully Marine Corps pilot, right? I'm joking, Navy and Marine Corps pilot. But those types of things are what we truly want to see out of this movie, at least from our perspective. I think Chewie hit the nail on the head. It's not about us. I think it was great when you would go take off that flight suit and then you go into the exact same place where you're just standing 5 minutes prior and nobody knows who you are and you can just do normal things, just be a normal human being. But
Yeah, I don't have too much else to add. I think Chewy and Chomps kind of nailed that one. It's about the team at the end of the day. I mean, sure, you know, by stroke of luck, we happened to be on the team when they made the film, and yeah, it might be a nice time capsule for our families one day. But you know, hopefully, the film goes on to inspire others to pursue a culture of excellence, really, in service to country, which is really why we all signed up to do this in the first place. So it's not about us; it's about the crest, it's about the blue suit, and it's about the future men and women in America that hopefully this inspires.
For the older guys, what jumped out at you the most? Like what kind of grabbed you or brought you back the most? Any scene, any moment that kind of touched you and rekindled thoughts in your mind?
I had to smile. One of the most memorable things is when you find out you made the team. And, and a unique experience of mine is I was in the same building. I got called down to the boss's office, got the old, things, thanks for applying and stuff. The coolest thing is all of a sudden everybody's sneaking in behind, me in the boss's office. And at the time I was an instructor, all the students, everybody in the passageway. And when they said, welcome aboard the team, man, that just brought back almost tears because also there's a shock if I made it. Now what have I done? And you got some big shoes to fill.
Thanks for passing to the old guy again. I keep making jokes about that, but I'll just make kind of an unrelated comment. I remember saying to somebody a long time ago that I have two lives. I have a life that I lived before I was a Blue Angel, and it was great. I was an F-14 Tomcat pilot in Miramar, loving life. And then somehow they picked me as a Blue Angel. And if my life was this great before, it's been this great ever since. It's been 35 years, and having been a Blue Angel has taken me places and done things for me and exposed me to opportunities I would have never had anywhere else. So, we do things to let the public see us, but it's done so many things for all of us. I think we'd all agree that we've been enriched 10 times over for our time on the team.
You guys study the film all the time. You look at every little thing, but when you see it like in this way, was it different a little bit looking at it, through the lens of what we saw here?
pass it to the most recent training officer.
Thanks, James. I think it was special to see. The movie was filmed in 2022. It's now 2024. I was in my first year in 2022 when we filmed it, and now I'm not on the team anymore. So I think it was very cool to go back and kind of see the team. And everyone up here will tell you that every single year, every team is completely different than the year prior. So it was very cool to be able to go back and revisit that 2022 team and see all the faces from that team and see the formations that we were flying and what we were doing. And at the time, it's such a blur with the cameras around. There was helicopters in the aerobatic box that we were flying right next to. I mean, you basically pointed your nose right at one on that Delta breakout. But it was really cool to see it all come together. And I think the filmmakers did an incredible job. And I think if nothing else, people are going to walk away from this film and say the aerial cinematography was second to none. So it was very, very cool to see, and unique vantage points that no one has seen of the Blue Angels before. So I know we certainly enjoyed it. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well.
One thing I did take away as I was looking around yesterday when we got a little sneak peek at the film is every single one of us in a blue suit was actually still critiquing our formations up there. Every single one of us, whether they admitted it or not, they sure did. And they're like, oh man, I was out of position there. But that's what this team's about. It's about finding our mistakes, owning them, and then still revisiting it 2 years later because you can never get away from it, right? So that's what it's about, finding that and constantly seeking perfection. I think Chewy nailed, I'm going to butcher his quote at the end, but it's those little moments that you're finally finding that perfection. And those are the moments that you're going to take away. And I think you said it in the last like 3 to 4 minutes of the film or so.
Last 5 to 6.
Sure. But that is like those little things. And that's kind of what we're striving to do. And you got to see a little bit in the movie. But that we would spend hours and hours and hours of our life critiquing ourselves, starting with ourselves, before we'd even talk about how we affected that team. So that's kind of cool.
The training officers don't let the solos talk about instruction, so I'm good.
How about seeing the perspective of the attendees, of the fans down there watching? Was that a little bit different for you guys? Was that kind of a neat part of it, and did that add something to it for you?
Anybody? Jackson? Absolutely. I mean, it's always great what we do is largely for the fans, right? Obviously, there's some personal pride in making sure the show looks great, but our whole purpose is to take the show on the road and show anybody in the U.S., Canada, wherever we may be flying, what the U.S. Navy is and what the U.S. Navy forces can do. Sorry, and Marines. So to be able to put it on screen and let many more people enjoy it, either in a theater or in their own homes, watching it in their living room, that's what we're hoping to do is, as we kind of talked about earlier, inspire the next generation. Sorry to keep hitting on the old guys on there, but I remember being a kid. My dad and his family born and raised in Pensacola, Florida, so I used to come down here all the time. And I remember sitting in the IMAX at the Naval Aviation Museum and watching Magic of Flight and watching A Year in the Life, those Blue Angel documentaries. And the fact that I'm now on a panel, being in a movie of my own, you never know what seeing something like that can trigger, as we kind of mentioned. And it's crazy how everything comes full circle.
Yeah, what I learned in the film too is that Chomp's first Blue Angel show was at a Fort Worth show, and I was at that same show as a kid. Which, interestingly enough, yeah, that inspired you, I guess. It's also worth note that the pilots don't get to see that immediate feedback from the fans as the show's going on. So some of the footage there showed the fans' reactions to the maneuvers, which I kind of found that pretty cool for them to get to see, because you see it as a khaki newbie, and then you don't see it unless you're communications cart where our safety observers are. So I think that was a new vantage point for them to see and get to experience that.
How about the bond with Pensacola? Obviously, Pensacola is a really special place because that's your home base for this, and we're here today. All the people coming out to see you here. How much? I mean, you had the film, but just day to day, a lot of you still stay in Pensacola, from Pensacola. How special is that bond? How important is Pensacola to making the Blue Angels what it is?
Like I said, we get to be the home team here. It's pretty special. Other places you may just sort of blend in, but here you get to really be a part of it. I think, in speaking for all of us, I don't think we're ever able to do as much as we want to because of that busy show season that we maintain. 32 show sites between mid-March to early November, with El Centro at the beginning of the year for winter training, and by the way, training flights in the winter training cycle. So there's not a lot of opportunity as much as we like to get out to the community. So this has been a great way to do that.
I was just say when we arrived here today and peeked in the theater, I was surprised to see how packed it was. I would have figured that y'all would be tired of watching us flying, but it was pretty cool to come into the theater here in Pensacola, where we are. I don't want to say old hat, but it's pretty easy to see us. But then seeing all the support that we get from the community, and I think that's just a testament to how much this town really means to this team. They're kind of synonymous with each other, right? Blue Angels and Pensacola. It's hard to think about one without the other. So thank you all so much for the support that you not only give to the team, but to all of our families when we're away, and for making us feel like home every single time we're back in town. And I know we wish we could fly almost all of our air shows here if we could, just because of the support that we get from you all. But thank you from the bottom of my heart and from everybody up here for everything you do.
Yeah, I don't think the Blue Angels are ever old hat. I know I live off a 9 Mile road, and on Sundays when you guys fly over our neighborhood, it gives us chills every time. Any other thoughts? Anybody else? Anything else jumped out to you about the movie? Anything you want to relive or share with us?
Yeah, so there was a few days in Pensacola where Kevin LaRosa was out with his, I don't know what the name of the helicopter is, but it had one of these really amazing cameras on the front of it. And they said they were going to be doing some aerial videography. And I was like, okay, cool, that sounds great. What I didn't know is how close he was going to be all the time, starting from like when we started the engines and I look up and, I could see his green eyes in the helicopter right in front of me. I was like, hey, back up, man. But then we had Lance Benson was a former Blue Angel that was on the helicopter with him, which made me feel a little bit better. He's a jet pilot, so I don't know what he would have done to save me, but yeah. So anyway, we briefed it beforehand that he was going to be in these certain positions and where he was going to be for all these maneuvers. So he was laterally separated from where we were going to go. I don't know if he was in that spot or not. I was just kind of pressing the I believe button and hoping he was where he said he was going to be because. Yeah, we're not super maneuverable at that point. But yes, I definitely saw him out of my peripheral, like coming up there. And I was like, we were doing the same thing we do every single day. And we were just hoping that, they were going to be in the right spot. It ended up being a really cool shot. He got a lot of really good, I thought that was the coolest part of the movie, from my opinion, was all the aerial stuff. Well, I mean, and and everyone here is a Fat Albert fan anyway, so. But but yeah, that was it was a really cool experience for sure.
That's pretty awesome. All right. Any other questions? Anybody else want to jump in?
Yes, sir. I'm a retired Navy senior chief. Been here in Pensacola since '89. Saw the Blues fly when you were in the Tigers and in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But I think probably the most thing that I like about the Blue Angels is on Sunday afternoons, that sunset fly-in, hair on my arm standing up right now. So.
Well, I'll ask. Do you guys know that? Do you realize that the people they live by that and it means a lot to them? Do you guys know that?
I say we get that. We get that sense, especially now with the advent of social media and people. It's pretty easy to find us and talk to us, but especially as you guys know, our schedule's pretty busy. We do a whole long show weekend. It comes that Sunday, and we'll all go kind of in the brief and get ready to go. And in our head, we're like, oh man, it would be nice to just go back home, go as fast as we can from show site to Pensacola, land real quickly and get out. But every time we're like, no, we can't do that. We're going to do the beach run. It's one of those things that I think is a very special thing and a very special part of Pensacola. Nowhere else in the world can you get a beautiful sunset over crystal white sand beaches and emerald waters with 6 or 7 and then an 8th C-130 coming down, painted blue and yellow, 100 feet over the water with some smoke on. So it is definitely something we take a lot of pride in, and it's our way of giving back to the city of Pensacola as a thank you for letting us make a lot of noise over your city continuously and causing traffic when we're doing a show. So I promise you, it takes a little bit of effort for us to get in the mindset, but we love doing it just as much as you guys love seeing it.
I just wanted to say thank you to you guys and to the cinematographers that were taking the direction to bring out the point of what your wives and your children and your families go through with y'all gone how many days a year. So as a former military wife, I want to thank you for bringing that point out. And thank them.
Yeah. Well, was that a cool part of it? Showing the families. How neat was that for you guys? Understanding what that means.
I'd like to thank my wife right now. She's sitting right there.
Yeah, there you go. Hey.
And then Jackson's wife is sitting right next to her. And I was very, very lucky that my kids got to be in the movie as well. So that's going to be a little timepiece for us to take forward. But no joke, the families is a tough one. That's one of the toughest parts about being on this team is you're gone for 270 to 300 days a year. And you kind of get pictures and FaceTime your kids growing up. And then next thing you know, they have long hair and not snotty noses. And you don't, I guess he was healthy that day in the movie. But that's definitely a challenge. And finding how you can balance your home life and then something performing on this elite high performance team that every single person here knows about, including Boss Jernigan, who we haven't mentioned yet, who's here local Pensacola. He goes to almost every single one of our show sites as well. So he has to do that family balance too. So I think that's a very critical part, and we all have our own techniques to try to manage that, but it's tough. Anybody?
Well, yeah, let's hear from Boss Jernigan also. Come on in. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. Very much an honor to be a part of the Blue Angel team. I've had the privilege of being a friend of the team for 46 years. Just before I forget, Wayne Molnar over here, if you go out to the Grand Marlin on Pensacola Beach, if you go into the restrooms on the left, there's a big picture of the Blue Angels. A couple of them sitting there with Trader John, and Wayne is in that. He's not in the restroom, but he is on that one. So, but like I said, yeah, it's just an honor for me to be a part of the team, and the wives love me because they know that while the guys are out of town, they can call me 24/7, and I'm going to be there to help take care of things. I tell the wives, don't ever call your husband crying, call me crying, because he's going to tell you that's what you need to do, so they can stay focused on their job. But yeah, like I said, I'm just standing by for the next phone call. But thank you so much.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, let's give one more round of applause for these guys for being out here today. Thank you so much. All right. We love our Blue Angels. Awesome movie. Is going to show more people about what they do and how special they are. And appreciate all you guys for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah, thank you.